take what you do best and create a website that's worthy of it. With AI website creation from Wix, every click is an opportunity to shape your brand, fine-tune your design, generate content in seconds, and showcase what you love so others will love it too. It's your business, your website. You do it yourself on Wix.
So Donald Trump and Elon Musk are hanging out in Saudi Arabia this week as the clown show continues. And I want to talk about what they're saying and what's going on. So let's just jump right in. This Musk and Trump, they're meeting with MBS. And this is Musk pitching, well, his tech. Let's have a listen.
How we move from an oil-based economy to an innovation-based economy powered by wonderful technologies that definitely you're one of the pioneers in this industry.
So I want to start with this. I told you guys this in the last video, and it's been a talk for a long time. Saudi Arabia wants to basically diversify their economy, right? Not just oil, try to get into AI, crypto, or whatever. And essentially then you turn to Elon Musk, who's the leader of this kind of stuff, I guess you could say. For me, it's all a scam, but I understand there's a lot of fans of AI, crypto, robotics. But that's why I want to go through this stuff, and then you can decide if you think it's a scam or not. So let's listen to more what they have to say.
We just showed to His Royal Highness some of your Optimus robots.
Yeah.
And to President Trump.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Tell me about them.
Yes, so we just showed several of our Tesla Optimus robots to His Highness and President Trump, and I think they were very impressed. In fact, one of our robots did the Trump dance, which I think was pretty cool.
The YMCA, yeah?
Yeah, to YMCA.
And then this is what Elon Musk was tweeting out just a few hours ago. This is not quite the YMCA dance, but the robot is dancing. Now, if you look closely, though, it is tethered. There is a tether behind the robot. Elon Musk and his robots, they've had basically human remote, operators, and it's been like that for a while. And then essentially they'll also have walkie-talkies in these things, and they overplay what this robot is able to do on its own. So I want to make that clear. You can literally see the tether right there. And then when you go over to Fox News, this is how they talk about the conference. Listen.
And I asked an American guy who was right next to me, what brought you here to Riyadh? And he said, money. There is so much money at this conference center that is going in both.
And essentially what you're seeing here, and this is part of understanding Musk and the Trump world, is that there's just a lot of people out there who worship money. That's basically what it boils down to. And if you think, oh my God, money is the most awesome thing of all time. And if you're someone like Trump Musk, like, oh, wow, there's all these people who worship money. And so then I just pretend that I have much more money than I actually do. And then people like me even more. And then I pretend I'm going to, make all of this awesome technology that no one's ever thought of before. And it's going to be so amazing. And then they give me more money. And then like the sort of illusion, smoke and mirrors continues, right? It's all built on a house of cards. And ultimately this thing should come crashing down. I mean, you would think, but people like Fox News, et cetera, they're all in on the scam as well. Let's listen to more what they have to say. And again, this is a worship of money.
This is facilitated, for example, a lot of rich people. That's a rich country. Where does the business pitch come? Does Elon Musk stand up and say, invest in Tesla, invest in my boring company? Or, does Sam Altman get up and said, OpenAI, how does it go?
Right, he's asking, how does it go? Well, this is exactly how it goes. Elon Musk comes up and talks about how awesome his technology is going to be. And this is where, I want to talk with you guys about serious conversations about money. Would you invest in this guy? Listen to what he has to say. Let's decide for yourself.
So yeah, robots can dance, they can walk around, they can interact. I think we're headed to a radically different world. I think a good world, an interesting world. My prediction actually for humanoid robots is that ultimately there will be tens of billions. I think everyone will want to have their personal robot. You can think of it like as though you had your own personal C-3PO or R2-D2.
Right, so he's talking about your own personal robot. In the past, he said we're all going to buy 5 robots. And again, we're talking about humanoid robots. And there's only really one main reason why people want humanoid robots. Let's just say this, if you want to get companionship between the sheets. I'll leave it at that. But that's essentially what the audience said he's going for. Lots of between the sheets. I'll leave it at that. But that's essentially what the audience said he's going for. Lots of dudes who want to hang out with robots, right, and do what they do to do, I guess. This is Trump signing supposedly a $600 billion investment commitment. That's what they're calling it from Saudi Arabia, I guess, or in Saudi. It says President Donald Trump secures historic $600 billion investment commitment in Saudi Arabia. So that's them, Trump and MBS, giving the thumbs up. So it's all about money. These are official photos coming from the White House. I'll be frank, I think horses are cool. So that's a pretty cool photo. I won't lie. I think that's pretty good. But then this is also an official photo, and it's actually quite funny. If you look closely, Marco Rubio does not look too happy to be there, but it is what it is. I'm just showing you the sights and sounds. When you actually look over what the White House is saying, they're saying 600 billion. Trump actually wanted $1 trillion. But again, these are all pledges. We're talking about the future. Money hasn't exchanged hands yet. You dig into it, the money doesn't quite add up to that. Maybe half of that is stated in this thing. Then they'll say, well, there's all of these things that we haven't even announced yet. It's just going to be so awesome. AI, crypto, etc. You can read through the stuff if you like. For example, it says the deals announced by the White House totaled around 283 billion, less than half of the 600 billion promised. But again, Trump wanted $1 trillion. But that's sort of what they do is they just get people to make up whatever pledge over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, whatever. But again, this is all smoke and mirrors. And you have to put this together with Elon Musk because it all rides on, do you trust someone like Elon Musk who's leading this sort of AI crypto robot bubble? And do you think everyone's going to want 5 robots? Listen to some more.
Turn your best idea into a bestseller. Do it yourself on Wix.
Then who wouldn't want to have their own personal C-3PO R2-D2? That would be pretty great. I also think it unlocks an immense amount of economic potential, because when you think about what is the output of an economy, it is productivity per capita times population or capita. Once you have humanoid robots, the actual economic output potential is tremendous. It's really unlimited. Potentially, we could have an economy 10 times the size of the current global economy, where no one wants.
And that's what we're talking about. He's just going to promise you're all going to be rich, guys. We're going to have this massive economy, 10 times the size. And he'll say stuff like, oh, yeah, no one's going to want for anything. And again, this is all a scam, essentially. Before this human robot thing, he was talking about we're all going to go to Mars and have 1 million people on Mars. And now we're all going to have robots. And, I understand, guys, for people who worship money, they say, oh, well, he's rich, right? But you have to understand, what is his wealth based on? It's based on telling this kind of stories. And then you convince all these other people to come to these conferences, and then it's all a big Ponzi or pyramid scheme. That's essentially what it ends up being, like a Scientology kind of thing. And it's sad that people fall for it. But I understand. Yes, I'm being honest with you. Yes, you can make money as long as people keep believing in the scam. And what's the scam? We're all going to have human robots. We're all going to be rich, etc.
We could have an economy 10 times the size of the current global economy, where no one wants for anything.
You're all going to be rich. And this is coming at a time when people in Gaza are struggling. I mean, obviously, you can see the headline here. In private, some Israeli officers admit that Gaza is on the brink of starvation. That's something that they don't want to talk about, right? Of course, we just want to talk about fun stuff like Saudi Arabia, etc. Or Elon Musk will come up with these sort of stories of like, hey, guys, look at all these white South Africans that are suffering, and bring them to the USA, right? So we bring some, and it's... let's just say this, the church doesn't even want to help because they don't believe Elon Musk lies. But yes, there's a lot of people out there who buy into this stuff. They all go to the conference. It's a bunch of people who worship money, and they want to either scam other people or buy into the scam. That's what it ends up being.
Sometimes in AI, they talk about universal basic income. I think it's actually going to be universal high income,
You're all going to be rich. Universal high income.
where anyone can have any goods or services that they want.
Anything you want. And listen to Fox News, how they paint this.
When it comes to investment in the U.S., Saudi Arabia's got the $600 billion pledged over the next 4 years. Qatar has $200 to $300 billion expected to be announced on this trip. Plus, you got the $400 million jumbo jet. And then when we get to the United Arab Emirates, they say $1.4 trillion pledged to the U.S. over the next 10 years.
But you have to understand when you look at these charts, again, these are all, oh yeah, we're definitely going to give you money over the next 4 years. Oh, wait, over the next 10 years. Oh, wait. How about that jet? And it's crazy because think about if just, for example, Joe Biden took a jet from whatever country, say Saudi Arabia. I mean, Fox News would be just going, livid on this kind of thing. Or, what if Hunter Biden took 10 laptops from Saudi Arabia or whatever? But I just want you guys to learn to read and spot scams. My personal opinion stuff, and I say it all the time, and you probably get it from the sense from this video, is how long can this bubble last? How long can we believe in this hype that we're all going to have 5 robots and we're all going to be rich, right? High income is according to Elon Musk. It's hard to say because, to be frank, people bought into the scam that Trump's going to bring you back all your factory jobs. And so it's odd when you put these two together. Trump saying you're going to get your factory jobs back. And then Musk is like, hey, we're all going to have robots and no one's going to work in the factory. And basically we're going to replace you with robots and AI. So the two things don't match up. And that's why you have to call this stuff out. And you understand that there's so many logical fallacies with this stuff. But I understand that's why going through it. And again, I just want to have rational discussion with you. And I want to hear your thoughts on what you think about this stuff. Let's watch some more.
I have traveled the world with President Biden and been to many international conferences with him. They were all political conferences. This is not a political conference. This is a business conference, and it is key to the third pillar of the Trump platform.
So again, this is all about business. And like, oh, that Biden guy, he's a politician just concerned about politics. We want someone who's about business and putting money in his pocket and getting those private jets. It's so ridiculous. Even Bloomberg is calling this stuff out. Bloomberg tends to be, more economic news, Republican type of stuff. Trump and MBS tout $1 trillion pledge as details remain elusive. And I always just tell you guys, just check the bottom lines of these things. What is real, what is not real, but I understand it depends if you worship money or not. Let's see what more Fox has to say.
To be free and flexible and creative was really essential to what I wanted to make, and I didn't find a platform that did that other than Wix. Hi, I'm Liv. I run Double Bricks, a print and design studio in Brighton, UK. I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and freedom of creation. Everything I create at Double is visual. So for me, those customizable elements like the hovers and the little animations, the additional bits of coding, the physicality of the actual process of printing really reflects me. From a business perspective, it was really exciting. Directing people to that site was going to give them everything that they needed.
But it's going to work, and we expect to hear from Elon Musk later on. He will come here to a mixed crowd of American rich guys and Saudi rich guys who are all seated because the program is supposed to start.
Bunch of rich guys, that's what it is. And that's literally the word from Fox News, how they're calling it. But, I guess their audience is like, oh, I love money. Money's so awesome. Money's the best. And guys, I don't mean to say that money is unimportant. I'm not saying that. But I do think it is a problematic thing when money becomes your God. I think that is a real problem, and that's just my opinion. I think there's, a lot of other things out there than just worshiping, people who have money and are out to scam you like Elon Musk. Let's see what more he has to say.
Now, there obviously are some risks, which illustrate perhaps if we don't do this right, you could have like a James Cameron sort of movie, Terminator. We don't want that one. But having sort of a Star Trek future would be great, where we're out there exploring the stars, discovering the nature of the universe,
What's crazy about Musk, and he's done it several times, is say he'll acknowledge that the James Cameron Terminator stuff, right? But he doesn't actually understand Star Trek. So Terminator being the danger of, robots, stuff like that, and AI. But he actually doesn't understand Star Trek, where we're all working together, being inclusive of everyone, right? Getting rid of money, these kind of things. He just focuses on the technology stuff. And again, he misses the point of Star Trek, which is sad. But that is Elon Musk. He missed the point of a lot of things. What more does he have to say here?
world with robotics, but also on robo-taxis. So how are we doing on robo-taxis?
Yeah, so really you can think of a car or future cars as being robots on four wheels. And, I think it would be very exciting to have autonomous vehicles here in the kingdom.
Indeed.
If you're amenable.
You heard it here from Elon. He's bringing his robo-taxi to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so at the moment, Elon's robotaxis don't work as advertised. And essentially, they're trying to do it with cameras only to cut costs. Other companies put cameras and sensors in there to make sure that it's safe, be it LiDAR or whatever. And one of the big, issues with cameras only in Elon Musk tech is, what if it's raining? What if it's foggy? What if it's night? What if it's snowing? All of these, poor traveling conditions. Also, Musk will say, well, we don't need, high-res maps in our cars. We just got cameras and AI. And it's all, ends up being a big scam. When people start getting really hurt with these things, if he buys off enough politicians in whatever countries to get them out on the road as quickly as possible, and people start getting hurt, this thing could collapse very, very quickly. So, but this is the era that we're in. And we're going to look back and be like, you remember that guy, Elon, that was promising us robot buddies and robot taxis? Whatever happened to that guy? That's how I foresee this. But let's watch some more here.
For approving Starlink for maritime and aviation use. Thank you.
Maritime and aviation. There you go.
And that's part
there
of the
you
deal
go.
as well as when Trump's going to other countries, they're trying to get them to also accept Elon Musk Starlink. And part of the problem with this kind of stuff, I mean, obviously all of this is corrupt, is that if you're, giving government contracts with no bids and just say, oh, well, Elon Musk is my friend, I'm giving it to them, that does not give a chance to other innovators out there in the country. So for the person who, says they believe in innovation, technology, et cetera, why aren't you giving, the best ideas a chance? So there's that. Well, what more do you have to say here?
Yeah, and then XAI is just trying to solve general purpose artificial intelligence. The goal with XAI is to have a maximally truth-seeking AI. And it's important to be maximally truth-seeking AI in order to understand the universe.
It's so crazy. And it's like Musk is the biggest a spreader of misinformation out there, and he's claiming that his AI is going to be truth-seeking. So there's that. So what's going to go on here? Well, you got lots of conflicts of interest, of course, and this is what we're watching. Will Republicans stand up and oppose this stuff? I mean, we're going to see basically, again, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they're just in it for the money. They're going to say, guys, AI, cryptocurrency, robots are all going to make you rich. And essentially, that's what our bubble market is based on. And I know there'll be young kids out there say, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. You just don't see the future in crypto and robot buddies. You just don't see it. I'm just like, all right, well, good luck with that. Thank you for your time. Please share your thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next video.
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
This is what video games used to look like. It's none other than Atari, and over the years, the consoles have gone through a big change. Back then, Atari was compared to the Sega, Nintendo, and PlayStation and Microsoft/Xbox. It was the pioneer of video game consoles. But back in the 1970s and the 80s, people were packed of this company, and my god, was it so good. Let's jump into it. It all started in 1971, where two people named Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney found this company. They were so inspired and had interests in video games, and they made a game together called Computer Space. And my god, was it, I think it was the first commercially arcade game to be introduced. It even had an arcade machine that Bushnell designed just for the futuristic style. Eventually, after they heard of this name, they changed their name to just Atari. Magnavox made their Magnavox Odyssey, which released, and this inspired Atari to make consoles like this and games like this. In 1972, Atari made this game called Pong, and my god, it's just simple. In 1975, they made their first home console for the Pong. They did a very well job, and it sold over many copies. No one knew at the time, but then, in 1977, they released their best one yet, the Atari 2600. The console came with 2 joysticks, a controller, and multiple games with it. You could play all classic games like Pitfall, Super Invaders, Frogger, which would be on multiple watches, and of course, Donkey Kong from the arcade. The Atari 2600 was a massive success and had 30 million copies sold, and that was the better year for the Atari consoles. In 1979, they released 8-bit computers for Atari. They had a couple of new games added for the console, which added more colors to it and more fun to play. It was a family computer trying to come up with either the Commodore 64 or whatever, trying to max Commodore and other stuff, and they did a very good job with both of them. In the end, they sold 4 million units sold, which I think is kind of a bit cool. In 1982, they released their worst thing yet, the Atari 5200. My god, does it look bad. The controller looks like a phone, but I have to say, worst thing yet, the Atari 5200. My god, does it look bad. The controller looks like a phone, but I have to say, in 1983, the video game crash happened, and Atari lost its prime. There was a downward spiral because of gaming industry, but Nintendo saved the gaming industry. In 1986, the Atari 7800 was released and was the first to feature backwards compatibility. It also had 2 different versions. This means you can now play older games, including almost all Atari 2600 games, including Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, and Pitfall, and also new games that were released for the console too, just to try to keep up the variety a bit. It also came with a game called Commando, a shooting game which at the time was very popular and was pretty fun, and in fact, it was actually pretty cool to play, but I've never played it before. Overall, it sold over 377 million units. In 1989, the Atari Lynx was released with Epix. This was Atari's first handheld console, which was, at the time, its first landmark. It had a lot of games released to the console, but only a couple games. It was also a very good success at the time. In 1993, they released another console, the Atari Jaguar, which it looks goofy to begin with. It only had 50 games, and there was also a CD-ROM, which nobody liked. In fact, 50 games for the actual console and 12 CD games. That sucks. Where did you learn to fly? It also sold a lot of units sold, but eventually latest consoles I don't really want to talk about because they're all better, especially the one with the actual PlayStation controller, but bye.
the real job, no changing nappies.
You look like a disturbing gent.
Seems following furry creatures into dark holes has become a habit. I hope it's not a vice.
My stars and garters, Alice Little. Slumming again, are we?
Nurse Witless. What luck. Twice in as many months.
Out on your own? You look frazzled, dearie. Not doing well?
Not really.
Come along home then and look at my pigeons. Pretty birds, like you.
I don't think so. Our last visit cost me several pounds and got me nowhere.
I might recall where your mangy rabbit got to. Still a mess. No surprise. Her kin roasted like chestnuts right before her eyes. 10 years in Rutledge Asylum wasted everyone's time. Dr. Bumby won't do better. Still hauling out her questions. The fire, her memory. I deserve consideration, don't I? Who found her new clothes? Who got her a place at Bumby's? Where'd she be without me? On the streets, selling her backside. Likes my pigeons, though. She's doled out the odd pound or two. But what I know is worth more than that. Kept her secret, haven't I? Heard her say, all died on my account, I couldn't save you. I've told her my silence is for sale. Cheap. I'm a good sort, really. Not like her nanny, that uppity whore, or that lawyer fellow Radcliffe took a stupid rabbit. Need money. Warned her I'd tell the coppers if she didn't make a donation to my upkeep. She yells and goes off her head. Days she can't remember her name, what I heard.
Nurse Witless, do you mean to harm me? To send me back to the asylum?
I won't say no. I've a thirst you could photograph.
Need a drink. One man needs washing.
Pretty birds, like you.
A dream.
Very upsetting journey. But I'm rid of Pris, or whatever she's become. At least the place I've landed is somewhat familiar.
About time, too, Alice.
Blasted cat. Don't try to bully me. I'm very much on edge.
Perfect. When you're not on edge, you're taking up too much space.
You're no help at all.
But you know I can be.
I'll frighten myself when necessary, thanks very much. I was hoping to escape from all that.
Abandon that hope. A new law reigns in this wonderland, Alice. It's very rough justice all round. We're at risk here. You be on your guard.
You're part frog, Alice, I swear. You jump so well. If you leap from that table again, Alice, I'll expire. You're 2 times too reckless, my girl.
Amanita muscaria, Alice, is merely a stinky toadstool. A spongy consistency, but poisonous.
I've been down this road before. Good things in small packages?
Though lacking a bathing costume, a plunge in that pool is in order.
My God, I'm shrinking in this potion. Shall I disappear?
Almost. But the upside is that while smaller, you can see things that are nearly invisible to your bigger self.
Ah, I get it. Right. Forests for the trees. Just the other way round. Short-sighted is more than a matter of perspective.
Look how small she's become, all curled up. She's barely there, a vixen in her hidey-hole.
The vorpal blade is swift and keen and always ready for service.
I've not come back here looking for a fight.
Really? That's a pity. One's certainly looking for you.
Flight or fight implies a permanent choice, but flight often just means putting off the fight to another day. Choose your battles wisely, Alice.
removal in a single monstrosity.
A flower's purpose is simple and immutable. Human purpose is fickle because it is a slave to memory. Memories must be strictly managed, Alice. Unproductive ones must be eliminated.
It's you again, Alice. You may approach.
Why would I do that? You want to eat me?
Yes, well, you taught me manners, and I've lost my taste for mad women. Strictly a porcine diet for me. Everything's better with bacon, don't you agree? Of course you do. Now, there are pig snouts scattered about. I heard a few behind the house. Go fetch them for me. But take care for the pests that block your way. Pepper them up if they do. They need spice, and you're just the girl to season them for me. You'll find that grinder serviceable.
Why not season your own pig parts?
Matter of priorities. My alabaster skin needs protection from the disgusting creatures running amok amidst the environs. But one gets peckish. Look, all you have to do is listen for the oink, then shoot the snout. You may like the results. I certainly will. Thank you so much for the snout. Now go away.
Finish your suit, girls. Both engines, stay
The railway running through Wonderland sounds charming, but inefficient. Noise and smoke, like snips and snails, perhaps. Best to forget that train. A mock turtle as conductor? Oh, no, I don't think that will do at all.
I'd always hated mechanical malfunctions. This disaster is either his doing or his epitaph.
could have happened that way, Alice. You remember poor Mr. Crook died, didn't he? Dr. Wilson rejects spontaneous combustion, but I trust Mr. Dickens. The Hatter's Domain, almost as I remember it.
Appearances, as you know better than most, can be deceiving, Alice. Much has changed since your last visit.
Dr. Bumby says change is constructive, that different is good.
Different denotes neither bad nor good, but it certainly means not the same. Find the Hatter, Alice. He knows more about different than you.
But does he know more about the difference between bad and good?
Making friends, Alice. You're as randomly lethal and entirely confused as you ever were.
I've managed without you so far, Cat. Return to whatever hovels home to you. I'll call if I need you.
Predictably rash. It's not a question of if, Alice, it's when. Now hold on, and as they say, shut up.
So typical. I've made more graceful entrances. I suppose I must be grateful nothing's broken. Around your neck. Just outside Harrods it was. Fortunate your undergarments had been laundered.
My heart is open, Alice. Never closed. Never locked. It needs no key.
He's obsessed with time. Find him, or your own time may be short.
We'll all roast in our beds, Alice, for the sake of your father's unnatural devotion to printed paper. This horde of flambles wants only a malignant spark, and poof, our flesh and blood is smoke and ash.
Our lovely library was a fire trap. A conflagration waiting to happen.
Is that one? No, is it? No. Let's go try to wake. No. No. Bad dream. A blasted good night.
Hatter, I recall leaving you in a decrepit condition.
What?
Not in pieces.
Oh, it's you.
What's happened here? You've lost your hat, and some parts are missing.
Missing indeed, though things being what they are. I barely missed their missing. As to what's happened, you should know that better than I. It's your place after all. I know my place.
When did you ever know your place, or how to keep it? Now what's going on?
That's going on, and round and up and down, into my ears, and through my eyes, up my nostrils, down my gullet, and whining in my guts.
Papa was exceedingly fond of trains. I don't like them much.
You won't like this one at all. Nothing like when Mock Turtle was in charge of the Looking Glass line. This railroad's a bloody shambles. The stink is ferocious, the light blinding, the noise hellacious.
Quite, Hatter. I get the idea. A bad train.
The world is upside down, Alice. Inmates run the asylum. No thanks. And worst of all, I'm left tealess.
Tragic. If I do help, will you help me in return?
Cross my heart, if I had one. Find my limbs and toss them into the chute. Machines will do the rest. Be on your way now, that's a good girl. Best way out is through the croc face.
dimensions of this desolate tract are unknown to all but the inhabitants.
The industry thrives on suffering, obsolescence, and ruination, Alice. It's made these den into privilege. Consider us simply farmland in Australia, perhaps. We might liquidate what remains of your inheritance.
Some insects eat their young, Alice. They have much to teach us, alive or dead.
Haveright's cage and the canary goes to sleep, Alice. Out like a snuffed candle. Sleeps the sleep of the just. Like Mama and Papa. After 10, they're unconscious.
Your dogged persistence will be rewarded with pain! I told you to cease and desist, but my warning goes unheeded. So without regret, you're about to feel like a lobster who's being tossed into the boiling pot! That's it! I can feel it surging! Faster, my fine feathered friends! Don't stop now! No, stop! That's enough now! Oh, stop! You're running, you blithering Egypts! You think that can stop us? The merest trifle. I'll be leaving now. You'll never catch me. Don't even try. Dexterity will make a nice change. Expect no thanks until I'm completely reconstructed. No resting on laurels, chiffoniers, chaise lounges, mean folding chairs, stools.
steps to enlightenment brighten the way, but the steps are steep. Take them one at a time.
And vice versa. Don't be a bad worker. Bad workers are slaves. Payday for good workers has been postponed indefinitely. Payday for bad workers is cancelled. A good dead worker and vice versa. Don't be a bad worker. Bad workers are slaves and vice versa. Don't be a bad worker. Bad definitely. Payday for bad workers is cancelled. A good worker is a live worker, free to live and work. A bad
Gas laid on, Alice. We'll go to Brighton on what we save on beeswax candles and oil.
lever to cool the metal.
Hello, it's Polish Paul VR. Welcome to the channel. We are here today to do some more virtual reality. Sponsor VR of protection for your investment. Either way, you've come to the right place. Clearly, full of wonder like that. No, don't.
In his youth, Palpatine was an ambitious politician from Naboo, renowned for his refined intellect and captivating rhetoric. His discreet connection to the Force was a closely guarded secret, until it was discovered by a Sith Lord who disguised himself as a respected galactic financier. Plagueis offered forbidden teachings on Force manipulation, promising the power to cheat death and shape destiny. Unlike in the movies, Palpatine, curious, accepted the training, but saw the dark side as unbalanced and self-destructive. Secretly, he wanted to understand both sides of the Force in order to achieve something that the Jedi and the Sith ignored: true balance. It was then that he learned what he wanted and devised a subtle plan to free himself from his master. For years, Palpatine feigned loyalty to Plagueis, while planting evidence that suggested the presence of a Sith on Coruscant. In silence, he nurtured doubt in the minds of the Jedi Masters. One day, he gave investigators the precise location of Plagueis, who he believed was safely hidden. The confrontation mission was led by Yoda, who, upon arriving in the dark room, activated his glowing green saber. The confrontation was intense but brief. Plagueis, arrogant in his power, fell before the Jedi Master's unwavering serenity. He never stood a chance against the Master, as his red saber had disappeared and he faced Yoda only with lightning and the use of the Force. Palpatine remained unrecognizable in the plot. He was wise to hide his presence and observe the whole situation from afar. Without his Master, Palpatine did not seek to replace the Sith throne. Instead, he returned to Naboo. He used the knowledge he had acquired to guide his actions. He became a senator not by dark manipulation, but of course he used his powers of convincing minds to speed up his victories from time to time. In his proposals, he occasionally struck out against those who commanded many armies or held a lot of power, like the Jedis, for example. He saw himself as a mediator between the stagnant order of the Jedi and the real desires of the people of the galaxy. As he grew politically, Palpatine operated behind the scenes as a kind of gray Jedi. He never declared himself as such, but acted outside the extremes of light and shadow. He kept in touch with Force scholars from different cultures, learning about their alternative methods. He visited the Jedi Temple whenever he could and listened to the Master's explanations, even when he wasn't summoned. He argued that the galaxy should not be governed solely by the dogmas of the Jedi Order. No institution should have a monopoly on morality, he said in public sessions. This stance placed him in a unique position. Neither an ally nor an enemy of the Jedi, but someone who would attack them if necessary. Palpatine believed that the Force was vaster than the Jedi admitted. For him, the Council had locked itself into a paralyzing rigidity. So he used his charisma and subtlety to influence senators, introducing reforms that ran counter to hidden interests. The Jedi watched him with ambivalence. His presence in politics was expanding like a silent gravitational field. The galaxy was beginning to change, and many saw in him a new kind of leader, guided by the Force without declaring himself its servant. For the more experienced senators, Palpatine represented a rare balance between pragmatism and idealism. He brought together allies from different political spectrums. His influence was palpable. When he took over as Chancellor, he did so to public acclaim. His words inspired, but they also made the Jedi Council uneasy. While Yoda respected Palpatine's career, he saw something in his essence that escaped the traditional definitions of the Force. All the Masters could see it. Palpatine didn't hide his power completely this time. He allowed the strongest to perceive a slight connection with the Force. Mace Windu, on the other hand, looked on with growing suspicion. He doesn't seem to be as blessed by the Force, so he's not a threat, and by the time we realize that, he was already a lord, but I feel he walks between the shadows and the light. Windu once told Yoda, but he hides from us what he really is. Yoda pondered, but refused to act on hunches. To judge without proof is dangerous. To feel we must, not to impose, said the little master. Palpatine, for his part, noticed the Jedi's growing vigilance. He never flouted their rules up front, but he never submitted to them publicly either. Occasional meetings with members of the Order were always cordial, but fraught with tension. He spoke in codes, in symbols, provoking thought without ever exposing himself. The Force does not belong to an order, but to the entire galaxy, he once said to Obi-Wan during a political dinner. Obi-Wan politely nodded, but the phrase stuck in his mind for years. It was the kind of statement that the old masters avoided but could not refute. Palpatine maintained an impressive mastery over his connection to the Force. He knew how to manipulate environments, predict movements, understand intentions, all calmly and without letting anyone notice. He never sought destruction, but reconstruction and control. The galaxy was suffering from bureaucracy and corruption, and he offered an alternative. Not an empire, but a reformed republic. His critics called him a dangerous idealist, his supporters a silent visionary, but none could ignore the fact that his presence altered the political and spiritual balance of the Senate. Over time, the name Palpatine became synonymous with thoughtful but challenging leadership. He never wielded a saber in public, never declared war, and yet he was seen as a force for transformation.